Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Bytes podcast, episode number 141. I am Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And every single week on the podcast, we bring you the roundup of the week's best geek and tech news. We discuss that news, of course, anything else we happen to be interested in that week. And this week, we're going to be talking about some great stuff.
Yeah, all this awesome mixed reviews on Justice League.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, but anyway, Justice League, the Sony-Fox deal, sneak peek at Jurassic World 2, superhero movie casting, and the movie trailer showdown, and much, much more.
Yes, and in the movie trailer showdown, there's just two, so it really is a showdown this time. But of course, we begin our show, though, with Geek News. Okay, and our first bit of geek news is going to be involved via the Justice League. There have been some negative reviews for the Justice League. I personally saw it, and I thought it was pretty decent, but I went in expecting it to be horrible, so expectations managed. But the opening weekend numbers for the movie were not as great as people were hoping, unfortunately, and Forbes did a look at the numbers, and they were actually estimating that Warner Brothers is going to lose between $50 and $100 million on the movie. It only costs $600 million is what they would need to break even, and estimates put them at being at around $545 million, including international revenue, domestic, and of course, all those other things, video on demand, on sale, online resales, TV deals, all that good stuff. So they are apparently going to be taking a loss on this, which is not necessarily bad business. That's a tax write-off for them, but it does not bode well for this particular franchise if you're losing money every time you make one of those movies.
Especially if you're the fans, because, you know, if there's a poor quality, sucky version of it, why?
Now, did you actually see Justice League?
No, I did not see it, but like once again, those are reviews and everything. I think you saw it, right?
Yeah, we saw it. We had that movie pass thing, and so it was no, there's no risk in seeing that, I should
Exactly.
say. I wasn't wasting money on it.
Yeah.
And again, I went in expecting it to be bad, and it was not necessarily. Like, my favorite parts were going to be Flash.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller was very entertaining and funny, but also the Lois Lane was quite entertaining, and she was very moving, and she was very like sad for her because she is feeling the loss of Clark Kent. Superman in most of the movie. And again, spoilers, Superman does show up. They changed the movie posters by now, so it's not like it's spoilery. So we know Superman shows up in the movie. Oddly enough, one of the things that really didn't know with the movie was the very obviously CGI'd mustache.
The mustache gate.
And the beard that were CGI'd away. Like, basically, re-CGI'd his entire lower mouth. And there were some very evident scenes where that was the case.
It wasn't like a really bad green screen background where like the mouth and the head didn't line up like kind of those green screen jokes.
Almost. It almost was. Like, there was literally like you could see his lips kind of flopping around, getting all weird, like they were like a little worm.
Or just like really bad dubbing, kind of like one of those kung fu flicks.
Sort of. It's just that sometimes when they do the reshoots, I'm assuming that his mustache overlapped over his lips.
Yeah,
and so CGIing that out of the way is not easy, especially when they kind of just had a month to do it, and CGI work takes sometimes up to 1 to 2 years to do correctly and to make it look really good. And this definitely wasn't that case.
They should have done on like those anime scenes where they save on animation and just recorded his audio from the view of the back of his head, kind of.
Oh, that would have been easier, honestly.
Or those angles where it's just
just that there was one scene at the very beginning where he's supposed to be on a cell phone camera, and he's talking to some kids about, before he dies, about what it means to be a hero. And you can tell that it was in post because he's there, but his lips just look so weird and like wiggly, and it's like his bottom of his face doesn't quite match the top of it. Like, it's a little more tanned up here.
Because I can imagine, like, I'm rocking a pretty thick beard.
Yeah,
I don't know if
it'd be hard to digitally, get rid of all that stuff.
Which is kind of funny with me is like, this extends, makes my like chin obviously longer than it is, but when I actually tuck it in, my chin's like pretty up here. And it's like, wow, yeah. I don't got much of a chin.
See, there you go.
So I can imagine how they did it on him.
Yeah, so that's just one of those weird things about the movie. But again, overall, not a horrible movie. I am surprised that it's doing so poorly, and I think part of that is just not everybody liked it, or not everybody went in with the correct expectations. Like the advertising for this movie was basically, oh look, it's your superhero friends there. ta-da. They'd kind of given away a lot of the movie. Like the bad villain was Steppenwolf. And he just essentially shows up, steals some cubes. They try to keep the last one for him.
Okay, so are we doing
and
spoilers
that's it.
on
You know,
this?
so it's not like it's like if you've seen the Justice League episode number 1 from like the New 52, it's kind of that storyline without Darkseid. So I'm like, okay, it's really not like an amazing storyline in the first place. Like it really does feel very super friendly. And we'll talk about a few spoilers towards the end with another news story about Deathstroke. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, overall, I'm like, oh no, that's not great because maybe they won't make another one, or maybe they'll decide not to make The Flash, which is having issues in production, like getting a writer, getting a director, getting a storyline put together. Even though the kid is pretty funny as that character.
My thing was, I heard, because obviously I didn't see it, so I'm going through what the grapevine says. Cyborg was kind of, not necessarily like RoboCop, but it was kind of a little disturbing because he was kind of like pieces. And,
he looked very CGI. He didn't, I mean, the pieces parts is like not bad. It's just, RoboCop looked more realistic than Cyborg.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, that I don't have a problem when it's all CGI because it was done very well. It's just that Superman CGI was not done well. And it's like, you could tell that there was a mustache and a beard there, and they just reshoots demanded that he come in, but his contract with another company for another movie demanded that he cannot shave his mustache and beard off because they were still filming his stuff. And so they had to CGI it away, and it was just a very funny situation.
I want to know what the beard looks like.
No, you could look him on. You could look at him online for Henry Cavill with a beard.
Because he's had a beard, obviously, in the first Superman. Then eventually, that was kind of like in the Justice League episode.
There it goes.
Really, that was it?
That's it. That's
all the the funny ones, but yeah.
Yeah, you can see here the full-on mustache that covers his upper lip, which is kind of the issue.
He definitely has a bandito mustache.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing. I think he's somebody doing adventure movie stuff. I like the bottom half is like not that hard to CGI away because you have something close.
Yeah.
But the top lip is just so delicate and like movements and like this mustache kind of covers up most of that. And so it's like I see why they would have an issue with it. But still,
I gotta give him credit. He does look good with facial hair, though.
He looks very manly. I'll agree.
Yeah, really.
Okay, on to our next story.
Alrighty, we already know that Disney Studios was looking at buying 21st Century Fox, which could have been pretty cool. That deal would have opened up a door for Marvel to bring in the X-Men, Fantastic Four into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But now, according to the Wall Street Journal, Disney and Fox failed to reach a deal. Boo! Now they are saying that Sony Pictures has informally approached Fox about possibly buying up their assets. If that's the deal that actually goes through, then that will open up possibilities of seeing the X-Men characters cross over with Spider-Man characters, which would be pretty cool, but not as cool as what Disney and Fox deal would have given us.
Yeah, it would have been cool. I mean, if it goes through, it's going to be cool to see X-Men and Spider-Man hanging out together. That means also Venom, all those characters hanging out with the X-Men. But it wouldn't have been as cool as the Fantastic Four and other characters joining the larger, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, yeah, because I would love, well, obviously, once again, everybody knows I'm a huge-ass X-Men fan. Would love them to get the X-Men. But I would settle somewhat for the Fantastic Four, because the Fantastic Four has mixed with the Avengers a lot in the comic book universe.
Yeah. There's the entire Galactus series where that's where Spider-Man originally gets his black symbiote suit.
Yeah, because honestly, Thor Ragnarok would have been a whole different movie if they had the rights back, because you would have actually seen the Silver Surfer in there. You would have.
I don't think it would have been a different movie as much as it just would have had different characters. I don't know if the Silver Surfer would have added a ton of stuff, like comedy wise.
Well, Silver Surfer was pretty dull
because you saw Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
So Silver Surfer's not a comedic character.
No. But just seeing him in their savage gear going at it, it'd be a pretty interesting take on it. But I don't know. It's like X-Men universe, mutants, and Spider-Man. Spider-Man's really never had very many like super powered, as in like a mutant style kind of characters. They've always been like enhanced humans, kind of just like the Vulture. It's always been the gear.
Well, he's not exactly like a major super power player. I mean, he's very street level kind of character. He's a college kid. He does petty crime. And some minor supervillains, like guys with mechanical wings. The Kingpin, who's not a super powered villain at all.
Crime boss.
He's been his biggest foe.
Yeah, but he's just a crime boss.
And then, you think of like one of the X-Men coming in, like, oh, just they'd cut his throat, and
That's it.
the end. Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, my thing is, I would love to see more going on. Like, did you watch? Did you finish watching Punisher yet?
Yeah, we finally finished the episodes, and really decent. I liked it. The ending was a little like, okay, they have to let him go because otherwise that's the end of the series. Yeah. Like, okay, they want to continue that franchise.
My whole thing is it's like street level criminals, which is obviously they're all mob bosses, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they were ever going to bring in like Silvermane because he's another like big crime boss. But other than like from watching the animated series where Spider-Man's thinking he like technically according to that storyline, he's developing mutant abilities. So there's a comic book, if not a cartoon episode, where he actually turns into a man spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he gets the whole multiple arms coming out the size of his,
Yeah, the mutation thing. I don't think they're going to be able to use the mutant thing, though, for Spider-Man, just because he's not... Someone else owns mutant.
Yeah, I think
so they can't use the word mutant. He could be like some adaptation or some... I'm not sure they can say mutation. Yeah. Because that's definitely an X-Men thing, and that someone else owns that word for the comic stuff anyways. That's why they end up calling like all the people in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Inhumans.
Yeah.
And Marvel, even in the comics, is like kind of starting to phase out mutants entirely because they're not getting the movie and television rights to those storylines anymore. Like the instant they use the word mutants, somebody else has those TV rights.
Yeah.
And like that kind of sucks because they're doing the writing and they're doing the creative stuff, but it's someone else who can take advantage of that for television and movie stuff. So I'm like, I get what they're doing, but it is just one of those weird contract deal things. Yeah. Okay. Next story we have on Wednesday of this week. This is actually a very touching, cute little thing. If you're a fan of Rick and Morty, you know who Mr. Poopy Butthole is. He kind of looks like a tapeworm.
I thought he was a banana.
I'm going to say he's a tapeworm. The name Mr. Poopy Butthole, I don't know. He's an extra-dimensional creature who comes in and out of the series. And it's a little meta because he watches Rick and Morty on his TV. Mm-hmm. And so he's a fan of the show, the same way we are. But he's also occasionally part of the show. So it's a very weird
like the Watcher
meta kind of thing, sort of. If the Watcher sat on his couch watching TV, I guess. But there was like a very interesting 2.5 minute clip just showing him going through his life. And because he really wasn't in this season, they kind of just gave us a nice little clip show of like, oh, what Mr. Poopy Butthole has been up to as a fan character and his entire like last little stream of life. So like you see here, he's watching the show.
They killing him off or something?
No. It was just like one of those touching things that they brought back up for Thanksgiving. Like, oh, we're all thankful for all these nice little things. And it's showing him his family. Like he takes out the scrapbook. Like all of his family memories. Like him meeting his wife. And like, in high school where him and his wife met. Them graduating high school. And, getting married and dating and him proposing. And even like these weird, like little like fan clips like, them changing in alternate dimensions, proposals.
So it's pretty much like, I guess it's
a marriage, bar mitzvah, the
living
cat
life. Now he's just becoming a spectator.
Sort of, but it's also like, his life, like, the cat is dying. Oh, the cat is sick. And things like make you like tear up, like yeah, exactly. And very special, like, tearful moments.
Who's taking these pictures?
Because she's also had that pregnancy test in her hand at the same time. So one life ends, one begins. That's a weird thing.
What?
Gender reveal party. Yeah.
What? You never seen a toilet being out of before?
No, it's like the pregnancy sexy pose. I'm like, you're not Beyonce.
Don't matter.
And then like he turns around and like, but he has to use a cane to get there. It's like there's like, what's up with the cane?
He's just getting old, man.
Mysteries. It's just a very cute little kind of nod for Thanksgiving. Like, things we should all remember to be thankful for are our families.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
Yeah, I thought he was a banana for the longest time.
Banana. I'm pretty sure. I think he might be just a giant tapeworm.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's as adorable as that. That's all the story is, folks. But it is super duper adorable.
I thought I was expecting raunch and stuff, but
no, that's part of the regular show. This was like this basically that scene came out the end of this last season. Just because. So it's just kind of, they also re-released it for like Thanksgiving though.
No, that's cool.
There you go. Okay, next story.
Right. Well, we're still waiting on a full-length trailer for Jurassic World. Fallen Kingdom, the sequel's producer and the first film's director, Colin Trevorrow released a short sneak peek at Chris Pratt's return as the Raptor Whisperer Owen, and he got a new carnivorous hatchling in his care. From our Jurassic family to yours, Trevorrow tweeted ahead that Thanksgiving holiday, in a brief 5-second teaser, Pratt is seen greeting a new baby raptor, one that looks just like his old buddy Blue. Already they're proving to be fast friends, and the little guy with razor-sharp teeth purrs and cuddles against Owen's hand.
Yep, so there it is. And this, like I said, it's literally a 5-second clip that's just on repeat on this particular YouTube thing clip.
No worries.
But it's super adorable. That's it, too. Looks really nice. Like that CGI work there took months at least, even though it's like 5 seconds. It's literally for 5 seconds. Just the shadow work, the skin texturing, the interaction with the person.
Could have just been a hand puppet.
Nope. No, well, I guess it could be a hand puppet. That would probably be easier. It just costs more because you're creating a hand puppet thing.
Yeah.
But still super adorable. And it's like it's a teaser for a movie that's coming out, I think sometime next year. Like they're filming it and they're doing studio work, and I'm happy to see it because I like the last one.
Yeah, so what do you think? A whole different section of the island, another mutated, crazy
There's going to be another killer dinosaur, I think.
Yeah, but so, is T-Rex coming back for vengeance, or?
It says the Falling Kingdom, so I'm thinking it's going to be the same island. It's just the dinosaurs have finally taken over, and they're going to go back in to try to reclaim everything. I don't know. Yeah. Like maybe he's rehired to try to help reclaim the island before they escape into the larger world or something. Yeah, that would be a storyline.
I'm thinking they might go the extreme case and just like try to nuke them.
But that would be the easy option, except the nuclear weapons also have fallout to like larger areas, including sea life. And
yeah, that's true.
I'm like, yeah, but like if you just wanted to murder them all, the army would probably be a better choice.
That's true.
Unless you want to preserve them for scientific study, and I'm sure they're gonna make some excuse up.
Yeah.
On to our next story. Just another quick. Small picture. This is a scene. This is kind of the scene at the end of Justice League when there's the big reveal of like, oh, Deathstroke and what's his name? The
Joe MacLeod.
No, the
Slade.
No, the Superman's villain.
Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor. Yeah, Lex Luthor appears at the very end. Like, oh, he's out of prison. He escaped somehow.
He's the kid still.
Yeah, he's the same guy. He's just bald now. And he's on a yacht, and he calls in Deathstroke for like, oh. Now that they have a Justice League, we should have a league of our own. Referring to, of course, the Legion of Doom, where it's a bunch of supervillains getting together to commit crimes and such. With, of course, Lex Luthor leading them with his massive brain and intelligence and such. But I'm like, this picture honestly looks out of place for me. Like, I've seen a few Deathstrokes, and this one is just... He looks aged up a lot. Like they gave him the silver hair, the white beard, which is very, of course, of the character. But him as a person, like he's missing quite a few wrinkles. Like he very much looks like a young guy they aged up for this character. The suit itself looks decent. Like I don't have any problems with it. It's just I'm missing guns somewhere. Maybe there's one down here, but I'm just saying it. I'm like, okay, I'll have to wait until I see him in action. But not impressed.
No, I couldn't tell by the girl in the background. I couldn't tell if that was like a cyber eye, but I guess it's just the background.
Yeah, that would be cool if it was a cyber eye. Like I know what's her face is there. Lex Luthor's side chick, who's like a cyborg. Yeah, Mercy. She's there in that shot, in that little clip at the very end. It's like her and a bunch of other girls like with guns and such, and she has like a cyber arm, so you can tell it's her, and she's blonde. So it was a cool scene. Just okay.
Just cool. But weren't they? I swear, wasn't there like a video clip a long time a while back? Because there was the whole teaser of Deathstroke.
Yeah, I think there probably was, but this is like the film. This is actually from the film. Like he released it on Twitter saying, "Oh, look, this is what I look like as a Twitter thing." So there you go. Okay, so that's the story. Fun. Like I said, they're going to apparently also be doing a standalone Deathstroke film. And that was part of the Twitter release.
Well, did you like Deathstroke in the Arrowverse?
He's an interesting character. I kind of like Deathstroke as like I'm as just a straight villain. He has some very interesting storylines. He's kind of like the evil Batman in a lot of ways, like highly trained, mercenary. He works with guns though. I like Deadshot better as a character as opposed to Deathstroke. I know they're different universes. It's actually paired up initially. Like one came first, and then the other company copied it. But I still like the other character better.
There's the whole thing that you're going to be able to see who the real fans are, because the newbies, if you will, that don't know anything about the comic book universes, they're definitely going to be confusing Deathstroke and Deadpool.
Yeah, I don't think this character is going to get confused too much, because you do see him like a ton on the Arrow shows. Like he's the big villain for like the first couple seasons. Hints at different actually versions of Deathstroke as well, like different people who are inhabiting that particular suit and persona.
Yeah, even in the animated series, I like his take on the character.
Like I said, we don't see him doing any action stuff though here, so it's a little hard to judge who he is as a character with just this like scene of him taking off a mask.
Yeah, because we know physically, other than compared to his True Blood stuff, it was just him just being wolfed out.
Yeah,
but never really seen other than his dancing.
Yeah,
in Magic Mike, never seen him like do awesome choreography like
fight stunts. Yeah, and that character is very much
martial arts.
Hand-to-hand combat, gun stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what actually gets done in his own movie or in the next Justice League film.
Yeah.
Okay. Next story is going to be some news about the Dark Phoenix, apparently. Yeah. This was just something that came out. It could totally be incorrect, so take it with a grain of salt. But apparently, we already know that there are some characters that are going to be in the movie. Michael Fassbender's Magneto, James McAvoy's Charles Xavier, Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique, and Nicholas Hoult's Hank McCoy. They're all going to show up in the X-Men Dark Phoenix. Now, for those who aren't aware of who the Dark Phoenix is, it's Jean Grey, but she gets inhabited by an alien Phoenix character that gives her super fire powers. If you've seen X-Men The Last Stand, it's the exact same character, except that hopefully this one makes sense. And just like in that movie, somebody apparently is going to die and not come back. That's all that they teased. I believe it was the director said that the director is not holding anything back, and Jean's powers are going to be on full display. There'll be too much for her to handle. At some point, her flowers are going to go out of control, and Jean will impale one of the characters in the movie, one that we already mentioned, unequivocally killing off that character. So it's going to either be Mystique, Magneto, Charles Xavier, or Hank McCoy, or Beast, as you might know him, is going to die. Who do you think she's going to murder?
I can't think if there's anybody that I don't like. Well, I wouldn't mind seeing dying off, but
that's a way to go, I guess. I mean, can they really kill off Charles Xavier again? I mean, they killed him off in The Last Stand, and that movie sucked. Like really, she kills him off like near the beginning of that movie.
Yeah.
And like, I guess.
My thing is, I just want that franchise to die, period. So
I guess if they want it to die, that's the way to do it. Kill off Xavier and Magneto, and that kind of ruins the rest of the future. Because remember, the timeline is already shifting.
Exactly.
So if you kill off Charles Xavier, then there go the X-Men. They don't exist anymore. Yeah, it means they can't help anyone in the future.
Exactly.
You kill off Magneto, you're changing the future. He's a major player in the mutant brotherhood. So that kind of leaves Hank McCoy and Mystique.
Yeah. Do two birds, one stone. Just take them all out.
Like, would you rather see Mystique die or Beast?
Between those two?
Like, yeah.
Say kill off Beast, because Mystique has been an interesting character. She's got quite a bit of storyline connections with some of the characters.
I mean, no Mystique, you also don't get any. You don't get Nightcrawler. You're killing off Nightcrawler essentially.
Well, especially if they want to go that storyline to find out, his whole origin and whatnot.
Yeah, him and I think it was her and the Red Devil guy.
Azrael.
Yeah, and they make a baby together. Yep. And so, or maybe they'll be like, oh, she's had the baby, she started giving away, and then you murder her. I guess that would save Nightcrawler. Yeah. That you could do that way as well. But like a lot of people are saying it's going to be Mystique because Jennifer Lawrence is super busy, very popular now. And so to get her out of the contract or get her out of this particular franchise, murder her.
What is she doing? It's not like there's any more Hunger Games happening.
Well, no, she's doing other films. She did one called Mother recently. She was actually dating that director on that film for like the last year, and they just broke up. It was not well received because it's like this weird horror movie where she marries this dude. And again, this is sort of off topic, guys, but she marries this guy. They move off into the country, and he just starts inviting these random people in, like his family, and they're super sexual and crazy and weird, and I think it turns into this weird murder sex thing.
Incest thing.
I'm not really sure, but again, like it's a very strange film, and that's the movie she was talking about. Like, I didn't feel like I was a good enough actress to be in this role, and Yeah, and that was that movie she was talking about. And that I guess it challenged her, and it challenged her so much that she decided she enjoyed the director and his direction, and they were in a relationship for about a year. And then she was also in that movie where they were in space, where her and Chris Pratt were in space. Remember? And so she has a lot of roles coming up because the Hunger Games is over. So she's definitely famous enough to kind of get whatever she wants and get paid whatever she wants. Yeah. So people were hypothesizing that, okay, she's the one who dies because nobody cares about Beast. And the other two people are a little too famous for this particular franchise. Exactly. And so it kind of makes sense like she would be killed off. Okay. Yeah. So next story, also kind of a rumor spoiler, folks. Mark Ruffalo may have accidentally revealed that he filmed scenes with Tilda Swinton, the Ancient One from Doctor Strange, and Kate Blanchett, Helena from Avengers. So these are apparently scenes from Avengers Infinity Wars or Avengers Force, you may call it. But that is definitely kind of spoilery because those characters are dead.
Now, did you see the Mark Ruffalo thing where it was him and the whole Marvel characters cast? And he's like, it's almost a selfie video of it. He's like, oh, let's see who's here, who's not here. Oh, should I have said that? Like, because they're like, oh, because it's part of the Infinity War kind of stuff.
Yeah. And like, you can't be shooting that on the set. And I'm like, is it fake spoilers and fake releases? I'm like,
oh no, you guys.
Yeah.
Who's dying off today?
Like Mark Ruffalo is kind of we'll make him our fall guy. Like if things go bad, well, it's Mark's fault. He's being naughty, and or is it just Mark Ruffalo being naughty,
devious?
Yeah, like he's famous enough that he can kind of get away with it, I guess. Oh, yeah. As long as he's not spoiling too much. But talking on radio shows and stuff, he's let other things slip before.
Yeah, but like we said, we talked about it before that these characters are not going to be able to do the roles forever.
Well, these are awesome characters. And these are also dead characters. The Ancient One died very clearly in Doctor Strange. Yeah. Hela also dies very clearly in Thor Ragnarok. So they are ones. So that means there's some time jumping
with the stone
in this particular movie. Yeah, that's what it kind of spoils as far as the nerds are concerned. There's the time travel apparently in Infinity War. And I guess that kind of makes sense if Thanos has those powers, or some other hero has those powers and it gets out of control. And that kind of makes a very interesting twist for that particular storyline.
Yeah, a good resurrection of those characters.
Anybody who's died can come back now. So that makes we can murder whoever we want, and because of that time stone or that time power, we can bring them back potentially. And that, to me, it's kind of a cheat way to do it, but it's it makes more sense why you can murder everybody and then one hero goes back in time to save them all. Oh, yeah. And that's what that becomes. It becomes time cop.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good loophole though. I gotta admit.
Yeah, so that's one way to do it. Okay. Also, in casting news, we have Jude Law is apparently in talks to be cast as Dr. Walter Lawson or Marvel, also known as Captain Marvel. So he's apparently going to be playing with, I forgot her name now, Brie Larson. I think that's what it is, Brie Larson for the Captain Marvel movie.
Oh yes, yes.
She's playing Captain Marvel as in the female version of that. But she has to get her powers from somewhere, and if you're looking at the fan, she gets it from the dude she sleeps with. Which would be Jude Law, I guess. Maybe in this case.
I was wondering how they were going to work on that route, because it was the whole which aliens were they?
The Kree.
There you go, the Kree. So we'll see how that turns out.
I think there are a couple of versions of that storyline, where she gets her powers from. I think at some point doesn't is it Captain Marvel? I think Rogue steals her powers from Captain Marvel, isn't it? Yeah. And so that's a whole different storyline there as well. So I'm like, it's okay. But it's interesting that Jude Law is going to get that character just to be kind of murdered off. I'm like, not a bad job. Because then he's a comic book hero, but he's also just not having to commit a ton of time and effort to a silly comic book role. Because he's a serious, British actor. So
yeah, we'll see.
That's the thing. Could you see him in that role?
Yeah, because Captain Marvel, the guy version, if you will, not exactly, at least to me, a major role, major character or anything, other than his powers, if you will, being transferred. But nothing new. I know he had his own series, he had his own thing, but never really stuck out to me.
Okay, so there you go. So I guess we don't care that much, but again, it's interesting cast news, if nothing else. Okay, now some other rumor stuff. Apparently, there was a rumor that Joss Whedon was being kicked off of the Batgirl movie. Apparently, because of the bad ratings of Justice League, they were taking the movie away from him as punishment.
Did Whedon do it?
I think he did. I think he might have done reshoots.
Oh.
I can't remember who did, whether he was the original director or the guy who did reshoots. But that was the rumor, and apparently that is incorrect. Joss Whedon's people have said, no, he's still working on the script. He's still working on shoots for it. He's still going to do the Batgirl movie. And it's going to be the Batgirl from the Barbara Gordon DC Comics 1967 version of that, where she's introduced into that particular franchise. The script for that movie is based on that particular comic introduction. So it's going to be Barbara Gordon Batgirl, not the other one, Bat/Girl.
Now, do you think this is going to be a whole different universe, if you will? So a whole different Batman, a whole different, depending who.
No, I think DC wants to connect everybody. They have all these intellectual properties, so why not have them in the same universe? They're trying to copy Marvel. And that was like, if they introduce them all, then they can buddy them up later, and it makes more sense than just like shoving that girl from Clueless into a Batman movie.
Yeah, but it's not like their DC universe versus the Arrowverse.
No, they're not combining not yet, the cinematic and television universes, but I guess it kind of depends, because sometimes they're saying, I think their strategy plan is highly dependent on what's making the money. Because sometimes they're saying, oh no, this is going to be a standalone film, or it's separate from the main universe, or maybe it might be connected. So who knows? I think it would be a total waste not to use Batman references in the macro movie. Like, he doesn't have to be a major part, but go ask your buddy Bruce Wayne for some tips on some crime stuff, or use the Batcave computers. He doesn't have to be there. Just show the Batcave. Exactly. And that's a great touching point for this particular friend. Or hook up with Nightwing. Forget Robin, just go with Nightwing, and he's another character you can pull into this particular universe. But then at the same time, you also want to balance out, she has to be the hero. And so she can't depend on other people, especially dudes, to save her or to help her very much. And so there's a whole mess of storylines you could toss in there, but cool stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else we got. Oh, that's it. Very short show, apparently, because there's not a ton of news came out. It was Thanksgiving. I'm not surprised. Yeah. We have 2 movie trailer showdowns, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Smallfoot. Did you happen to watch either trailer yet?
No, this one, no. I actually missed these two, because when I saw the little posting of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in space, I was like...
Yeah, that's kind of what it should out to. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in space, basically. At the end of last season, at the conclusion of the storyline with Ghost Rider, they get teleported into space. And I'm like, oh, that's a twist. And even one of the characters at one point says, well, this is the one thing we haven't done yet. And this show has actually gone on a lot longer than I think most people thought it would.
Yeah.
And that's just because of the fans. They love Agent Coulson. They love the hints at the Inhuman Wars or mutants in like our world on a very street level situational thing. And of course, most comic franchises eventually go into space after they've eaten up their Earthbound storyline. So this makes sense.
Pretty much. And of course, Infinity War coming up, so they had to tie in the whole universe.
Well, yeah, because I think they're also talking about bringing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into the Infinity Wars movie, which would mean they had to get them into space first.
Exactly.
So very interesting trailer. I thought it was pretty cool. Might actually come back to that show. And then there's also Smallfoot, which is a comedy about Yetis and finding people.
That one I did see.
We're forced to watch commercials now.
But they got to pay their ass.
Yeah.
But if anything, Smallfoot is interesting, but especially related to the comic book world, is the Earth X, the big crossover of the DC.
Oh yeah, Earth X, which is the Nazi universe.
Yeah, they had the Nazi Supergirl instead of the Nazi Superman.
Yeah, they actually have a poster that I saw. It was just, of course, the regular Arrowverse and Flash and Supergirl and all those guys who are all in the same universe now since they're all in the CW. And then on the other side of the screen, on the poster, I should say, is the Nazi versions of them, which includes Nazi Supergirl, Nazi Flash, Nazi Arrow, and of course some other guys that are new, including Metallo, and the Red Tornado was also there in the very far background, just spinning around. Although I do believe in that storyline, the Red Tornado is a rebel superhero, so he's fighting those other guys who are Nazis, Nazi superhero villains. So that's coming up pretty soon. They set it up with Flash recently in the Arrow, so we should be seeing that storyline coming out very, relatively quickly. But again, back to the trailer, it's Smallfoots. So Yetis and humans,
It's
very cute.
Cutesy characters with no noses. They remind me almost of the abominable snowman from Monsters Inc. that got banished.
Oh yeah, that would make great sense if like he just started a family.
Exactly.
They have some big names in it, but it seems very. I'm like,
You got celebrities that do a cartoon.
yeah. So of the two, which would you like? Which would you rather watch, Agents of Shield or Smallfoots?
I'm gonna go Agents of Shield.
Yeah, me too. It seemed like a pretty easy win for a bunch of nerds, but I need something to compare it to. So there you go.
Especially the tempting, especially how far the season goes along. Maybe especially at the cliffhanger, it'll connect to
that
the
would
whole
that would
Infinity
be
War.
pretty awesome. I don't know if they're going to come out the same time, like the end of that season and the beginning of Infinity Wars or something. But that would be pretty cool. Maybe some Wakanda references.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Okay, that's it for the show, folks. Thank you very much for listening and for watching this show in our program. Short, sweet, to the point. That's it. If you like the podcast and want to help support us in any way, shape, or form, you can always find out all the ways to do so at.
Do it at geekbytespodcast.com/support.
That's it, folks. But thanks again for listening and watching, for geeking out with us this week. For the Geek Bytes podcast, I'm Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks, to go geek out about something.